Thank you for those inspiring words. I'd like to now ask Barbara Arnwine, Morris Dees, Haggai Elad, Horacio Verbitsky, and Kareem Yildiz to please come forward and receive the prize. So we will now have very brief remarks from the recipients. Barbara?
Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled to join such an illustrious and esteemed group who has worked tirelessly to advance the cause of justice through our world's legal systems. I extend heartfelt congratulations to all of today's honorees. I would like to thank Peter and Patricia Murphy Gruber and all of the Foundation's Justice Selection Advisory Board members. You can see I am deeply honored. This award holds so many meanings to me. It is because of the nomination by the late Jerome J. Shestak, a great legal pioneer, that I stand before you today. We continue to miss him at the Lawyers Committee. While celebrating his enormous contributions, he was our founding member, and he always, until his passing, was a dedicated board member of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. He was a brilliant man who dedicated his career to champion the causes of racial minorities, women, political prisoners, international human rights, and poor people without legal counsel. Marcia Rose Shestak, thank you for sharing him with all of us throughout his life. We recognize you. So as I accept this award, I pay tribute to this outstanding legacy of Jerome J. Shestak. I am so blessed and privileged to dedicate my life's work to my true passion, seeking racial justice and equality for all through the rule of law. As I often say, I have the best job in the world. I share this auspicious recognition with the tremendous Lawyers Committee team for nearly 50 years, our dedicated board. And John McKeever is here from our board today. Thank you, John, for coming out. You represent the best of what we do. Our staff, our volunteers, our coalition partners who have worked to ensure equality and justice on behalf of countless courageous clients. Since 1963, in areas such as voting rights, fair housing and fair lending, employment, community development, environmental justice, education, immigrant rights, Sentencing disparities, international and human rights, the Lawyers Committee has fought vigorously to address racial discrimination and inequality. But I got to say one word. You know I would not be standing here but for my parents. And I am so honored that my mother, Vera Arnwine, is here with me today. And she's joined by my brother and by my brother Marvin Ford and by my son, Justin Arnwine. And I can tell you that I was born fighting for justice. I was, in fact, born in a hospital that was segregated, that would not allow blacks to be serviced at the hospital. And my mother purposely waited until she was about to deliver me and made sure that they took her to that hospital. And she integrated that hospital. I was the first black baby born there, ever. So, as she says, it's in my blood. So, in closing, while our world has made great strides, the fight for racial justice and equality is far from over. A post-racial society is only within our reach if we begin to level the playing field. Now, massive inequalities still plague racial minorities and are unacceptable. We must systematically address these rising disparities. Also, we must be vigilant in monitoring the goals of all of the international conventions that assure justice and dignity for all human beings. So there is much work to be done in advancing and protecting civil rights worldwide. We all have a part to play. My sleeves are rolled up, and I'm ready to keep on pressing on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed your comments. We've been friends for a long time, and the Southern Poverty Law Center works very closely with Barbara, and we're working on a case today. Thank you for this award, the Gruber Foundation, and all of your judges. I accept this for the 185 people that work at the Southern Poverty Law Center today, and many who've come and gone over the years, because it's their work that's made this award possible. The accolades that I personally received are responsible for the work of other people, not just myself. And my wife, Susan Starr, is here today, and I want to recognize her because she stood by me for a long time when people have thrown a lot of brickbats. I was walking into this building today and couldn't help but look up at the writing on the wall. It says, "We formed this union to ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves." Unfortunately, ourselves did not include my Irish relatives who would come later. It didn't include the Chinese, the Japanese. It didn't include the Jews from Eastern Europe, whose rights had to be fought for and made an important part of this whole country's fight for justice and liberty. And I grew up on a small cotton farm in Alabama, and I quickly learned that it did not include the African Americans who were already here, who were written out of that Constitution. I love this nation, but also I love it enough to ensure that those people who are guiding our quest for liberty and justice uphold the true meaning of our Constitution. And I'm saddened today, especially for my state, for Arizona, for South Carolina, for Georgia, and the other states who passed horrible laws restricting the rights of Latino immigrants. That's the next battlefield for this nation. A court yesterday in Alabama refused to put a stay on a law that made it basically illegal to be a Latino walking the streets. And the first person who was stopped under that law I heard today happened to be a legal Latino immigrant. So it's not now just driving while black, it's being Latino on the streets of America. This nation is changing rapidly. By the year 2040, people like myself and most of you out here will be in a minority. Between now and the time that new group of citizens guide this country and vote to elect its officers, we've got to ensure that liberty and justice does prevail for all of us, not just the ourselves that set up this country in the beginning. I can assure you that with this financial support that we've received from this award, which certainly the Poverty Law Center will receive, that we'll be in that fight and we'll be working with groups in this country and around the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you both, Barbara and Maurice, for these comments. I think I'll be brief with my thanks, but I'll try and reclaim that time during the panel later. Distinguished guests, members of the Justice Selection Advisory Board, and of the Peter and Patricia Gruber Foundation, 2011 prize recipients. On behalf of the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, our 1,000-strong membership, our board, and our staff, I would like to thank the Foundation for honoring ACRI, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, in such a way. Even more so, for the prize to be awarded to ACRI at these challenging times. Your support has moved us deeply. And I wanted to congratulate this year's co-recipients of the prize, all of you. It is an honor for ACRI to be receiving this prize together with such distinguished scholars, activists, and organizations. And I want to extend especially heartfelt congratulations to Horacio and to all of our colleagues at CELS through the International Network of Civil Liberties organizations. We have grown to know and admire your courageous work. Congratulations and thank you.
I am honored and grateful for receiving the important Gruber Justice Prize that in previous years was awarded to a series of notable personalities all over the world. CELS, that is my organization, was settled in 30 years ago by victims and relatives of victims of the cruelest state-sponsored terrorism which suppressed all rights and liberties in Argentina. The struggle of our founding fathers and mothers was risky and simple. They fought for life and freedom. Since the ending of the last dictatorship in 1983, we understood that our scope should be extended to meet the challenges of a new situation in a different national and international framework. We worked then to build a more sound and stable rule of law, detecting and elaborating ways of bettering the quality of our institutions through research, judicial litigation, and public policy advocacy. Democracy poses different challenges than an authoritarian regime, but at the same time than bringing awareness and elaborating proposals for the present and the future, we continue being a decisive part in the proceeding against the perpetrators of crimes against humanity that are tried in this moment in Argentina. The Gruber Prize will not only help us continue and deepen this line of work in Argentina, but we hope to continue to share this experience with other countries that may have undergone or will undergo in the future similar situations of human rights violations. We are confident that the award to CELS will ultimately contribute to strengthening the Argentine state's capacity to respond to the opening and advancement of the many court cases that have emerged since 2001, when the impunity laws were declared void and null by the Argentine judiciary. Thanks again to the Gruber Foundation and to all of you. morning. Peter and Patricia, ladies and gentlemen, member of Selecting Committee. It is my pleasure to be here together with my colleague Rachel Burney on behalf of the Kurdish Human Rights Project to accept this award on behalf of our board, outstanding staff, committed voluntary legal team, and our tireless, overworked, under-resourced and dedicated regional partners. It is such a privilege to not only be honored by the Gruber Foundations, but also to later share the platform to join the discussion with the fellow awardees. Kurdish Human Rights Project thanks the Gruber Foundations for its invaluable support in the fight against the human rights abuse against all people around the world, for highlighting the plight of individuals and communities suffering injustice, and acknowledging the many people and organizations that work tirelessly to publicize and resolve cases of abuse and exploitation internationally. We would also like to highlight that to have our work celebrated by such experts in their own field, Peter and Patricia Gruber, and all the esteemed members of the selection committee, and to the weight of significance of such recognitions. Thank you for recognizing the Kurdish Human Rights Project, and in so doing, recognizing the work of all unsung human rights advocates for justice in the Kurdish regions of Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Caucasus. I have no doubt that receiving this award will further highlight the many human rights abuses suffered there and support their ongoing fight for justice. Thank you. Thank you.